What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're a catalyst for meaningful conversations. I'm Jonathan Sprang, and I go by Sprang, and most weeks we dive into movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. But we don't stop there. We talk about the deeper ideas, the life lessons, and the morals that these films have to offer. This week, we're going to have our good friend Coach Nick back on the episode talking about Ryan Coogler films. He's got a new movie called Sinners that's dropping in theaters featuring Michael B. Jordan. So we're going to talk about three of his previous films, including Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. We hope you'll jump over to our website and see all of our links. It's bio.site/movies that make you. That's bio.site/movies that make you. There you'll find all of our links to our Instagram, to each podcast stream, whether it's Apple or Spotify. You'll also find our Letterboxd link, which highlights the lists of movies that make you laugh, movies that make you cry, movies that make you scream, and everything in between. Before we dive into this week's episode, though, let's take a look at the next 4 weeks on the Movies That Make You podcast. Next week, we're going to be prepping for Andor Season 2. I know most of the time we're talking about movies, but we've got Scott Raymond going to be back on the show. He wants to talk Star Wars. I don't have a problem with that, so we're going to talk about it that week in preparation for one of the best Star Wars series that Disney has put out. The week after that, we're going to be prepping for Thunderbolts. This is the second Marvel movie coming out this year, and it features a whole bunch of the side characters all teaming up to stop a villain. Looks like a lot of fun. So we watched a few Marvel movies where these characters were introduced, and we had a lot of fun with those, and we'll talk through all the Marvel stories that we can on that episode. The week after that, we're talking about Tom Shadyac films. The three films in particular are Evan Almighty, Bruce Almighty, and Liar Liar. Three of these films that have a really strong moral, so we wanted to take a look at those. They requested to watch Bruce Almighty. I said, let's make an episode out of it. The week after that, Kristen's going to be on. We're talking Final Destination films. This is one of the horror films that she actually really enjoyed. So we rewatched all the ones leading up to the new one. Bloodlines looks amazing. Looks very scary. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. We are back with another episode of the Movies That Make You podcast, and I am joined by my good friend, Coach Nick Hot Cold Shephard. What is up, my man?
What's up, John? It's nice to see you again on the podcast. Again, our last one was great. We had good chemistry, man, so I couldn't help but come back and have this conversation with you.
Dude, I appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. And actually, one of my first, on video, we did the Google Hangouts, and I had the recording of us on video. So I might put that up at a later date where we can actually do the video. But, starting in January, we started going on video. So it's good to have you. Everybody can see your beautiful face and your beautiful hat and your beautiful smile and all that stuff. So yeah, last time you joined us, we just did kind of a one-off episode of boxing movies and had a lot of fun with Southpaw and Hands of Stone.
Yeah, favorites.
Yes. And tonight we're going to be talking about three movies from the director Ryan Coogler. He's got a new movie coming out that's going to drop this Friday. As this episode drops, it's going to be this Friday, called Sinners. And it's also, what's great too is all of his movies also star Michael B. Jordan, including Sinners. And he's playing at least twins. He might be playing more. We don't know yet. I don't know the plot of the movie, but it's Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan pairing up for Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. Those are the three movies we're going to discuss today to kind of get ourselves in the mindset for what Ryan Coogler brings to the cinema. So before we get into that, though, let me know, man, fill us in on how your life's going these days.
Man, I am literally taking one scoot at a time, and I absolutely mean that. I recently tore my Achilles heel. We had a podcast set. I went into the gym. I was just having a good time, man. It was a very light workout, one of the lightest workouts I feel like I did in a long time, because I was trying to work my way back into the groove of things, and I just took a bad step back and I tore my Achilles heel, man. It was an instant tear. I felt it the moment it happened, but the one thing I can tell you, I'm a little crazy because I still finished my workout. I was like, I'm here.
Of course you did.
I said, I'm not gonna be able to work out for a while. I know I'm injured. I'm gonna finish this one at least. Outside of that, man, one thing I can say, and just on the conversation of movies, I always watch these movies where these athletes, they injure themselves and they can't fathom the thought that they're injured. And I never saw myself as being that person where if I'm injured and I can't physically accept help. It took me, I'm a month of just scooting and using crutches now, and it took me until, I want to say 2 days ago, I just said I need to ask people for help, because that athlete in me, that independent motion in me is saying I've been doing it by myself this whole time. I continue doing it by myself, man. So the main thing I'm getting out of this injury, and it's a good thing, it's okay to ask your peers for help.
That's
That's one
amazing.
thing I'm loving, man. So just anybody that's watching this, I need you to understand, man. If you're in a point where you need any type of help, whether it's that mental, physically, or any aspect of help that you need, don't be afraid to call on people that love you because they're willing to help you.
Absolutely, man. That's a good word, man. That'll preach, as they say.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's also crazy too. I'm actually coming off a heel injury. Also, I've got tendonitis in my Achilles. I've had it like 3 or 4 times over the last year and a half, and this last time, man, it put me up for a month. I could barely walk on it. I wasn't injured. It's not torn. It's not anything except just painful. And I actually I got recovered from it. Went back into the gym for like one session, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to push it too much. I'm just going to do strength days. And then just because of circumstances, didn't get back into the gym. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, it's hurting again. And I'm like, I didn't do anything to my heel, but I think mine is more due to old age than it is more. It's too much activity. So I got to do all the stretches. I'm doing the stretches every night like an old man. I got to find better shoes, all that stuff. Like the doctor's like, you can't wear the flat shoes. You got to have a heel on it. It's like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do
And
that.
that's what I'm learning too. Everybody's like, you need to do this stuff. I'm like, man, okay. Even
Yeah,
though I'm only 26 years old, man, I've been getting hit in the body and beat up on for 13 years. So
for
I feel
sure.
like I'm pushing 50 myself.
I hear you, man. I hear you. But yeah, actually, speaking of birthdays or ages, I'm about to be 45. So
Man,
a
whoop,
month,
whoop, whoop,
like
whoop.
a month and 15 days, I'll be turning 45. And I feel good though. I feel good. I feel good about being in the gym over the last year, getting more in shape. I did take some time off at the end of 2024, and then when I came back, had the heel issue. But I went back tonight, and I'm going to try to stick to it and be consistent because I know it's just about getting there and showing up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's all it is. Sometimes is just showing up. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So let's kind of jump into these movies.
Let's talk about them.
So the first one we're going to talk about, Fruitvale Station. I came out in 2013, and it was, for me, I didn't ever hear about this story. I hadn't heard about the story until I kind of started looking into Ryan Coogler when Creed came out. I was like, well, let me check out what he's done before. And I got to tell you, the first time I put it on, I stopped it after the first scene because they actually show the cell phone footage of him getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
So those of you who don't know, this is a story of Oscar Grant. He and his buddies are basically planning the night out for New Year's Eve. He's going out and they're having a good time. They get to the subway and then they get pulled off the subway by the cops. And the way the movie tells it is that the cop accidentally used his gun instead of his taser on Oscar Grant and shot him, and he died that night. For me, I hadn't heard about this one, but the movie came around the same time as we started hearing a lot more about these types of incidents. Michael Brown comes to mind, Philando Castile, like all
Absolutely.
of these folks that we started hearing about in the news and started recognizing, man, there is a disparity between the way people are treated based on the color of skin. We've always known it, since we've been in America, but it seemed like this stuff was becoming more out in the open. And then you get all the way to the dude that sat on the guy's neck, George Floyd, all that stuff. This movie encapsulates that idea of just showing this guy just being a normal dude and then being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and cops not taking seriously their job to protect, and end up, even if it's by accident, this accident took a man's life. And that is heartbreaking. So needless to say, I did cry a ton every time I've watched this. This is now the third time I've watched it. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it beyond just being around a Coogler movie is I wanted to talk to you about it and hear your perspective about the movie and how it played for you as you watched it.
Absolutely. It's one of those tearjerkers. It's one of those movies that really pull on your emotions. And not even just the scene of his death, but the movie itself building up his relationship with his daughter, just his overall friends. And he had a community of people that loved him and they wanted to spend time with him. They was looking forward to seeing him in the upcoming days, and just to know that out of nowhere you was never able to see him again. That's what really pulled my emotions. It's like, man, this guy had people that cared for him. And the overall aspect, like you said, there's a lot of things that was going on in the times that they highlighted that's actually real life situations for people of color. And over time, I believe we're working towards things getting better. but it's also it needs to be highlighted. That's why I love movies like that. Central Park 5. These are movies that myself I can only watch one time. I only watched that movie one time, and it touched me enough for me to remember, but
Right.
also for me to be like, man, that is real life emotions. Overall, my personal opinion on just police brutality, I believe it's a right way to do things, it's a wrong way to do things. It's good people at that job, it's bad people at that job. So I never put anybody in one category, but I also know it's people that's going to put me in one category. So it's all off the way I talk to them. It's all off the demeanor. I have to prove myself a good guy because I'm already looked at as a bad guy. That's the same way a lot of people feel when they walk around. They even now I don't agree with this, but a lot of people these days walk around with shiesties on. They walk around with these ski masks on, and 9 times out of 10, somebody's gonna say that kid's looking for trouble. But that kid may just want to have a sense of fashion. You never know. But that's just the outlook that we have now these days, and not even just the people of color in general. You can walk around and you may get mischaracterized one day. So overall, with the general movie, Fruitvale Station was a wake up call to America, and it's always going to be a staple of one of those movies that say, "Hey, we really need to open our eyes and see what's going on around us."
I agree. I do feel like it's one of those things that it is so unfortunate. It's so heartbreaking. It does speak to that idea of privilege,
Mm-hmm.
that I can walk around a certain way around cops, but you can't walk around that same way with cops around. And
Absolutely.
you have to kind of put on that face of being the good citizen, whereas I can just be myself and I don't have any fear. And I think that in itself shows a disparity between the way people are treated. And I'll be honest, man, growing up the way that I did, there's always that sense that systemically there were things that were ingrained in me, not because anybody told me, but there's that sense that there's some difference between the two of us. Thankfully, over the years, I've been able to shed myself of a lot of that, and I can really put all that stuff to the side and recognize we are all humans. And I think movies like this and being purposeful about the movies that we watch. I know one of the things that we try to do is we try to watch black movies, people of color movies,
Yes, sir.
just diverse movies. We want to see these stories. We want to normalize all of these stories and normalize ourselves seeing people of color on our screens so that we can better understand that culture, so we can better see them as real people. The more we interact, the more we see people of color and people of all types of diversity, no matter what it is. It's not just skin color, but all the things that are diverse among us humans.
Yes,
It's
sir.
all this beauty that shows this kaleidoscope of beauty that we have. Anything that can bring that to my mind and put that story in front of me so that I can better understand, I'm all for it. And we try to do that in our family. We try to do that, Kristen and I, make it purposeful about watching movies that are going to highlight those cultures for us.
That is
One of
very vital.
one of the things I wanted to bring up about the movie that I think it kind of goes to what you said, because Ryan Coogler did, I think, a fantastical job of showing Oscar as a real person, show him how he really was. And a couple of scenes that stand out. He's at the grocery store. He got fired from his job. He's trying to get his job back. In the meantime, there's a white girl there that's struggling for how to make catfish. And so he calls his grandma and says, "Grandma, help this girl out. Give this girl your recipe." And so she gets the phone, and it just shows his heart of how like he cares about people. And then there's also the dog scene where the dog gets run over. He was playing with the dog, and then the dog gets run over. I read a review once where it talks about that. That's somewhat signifying what he's going to experience later. That loss and that pain, and out of nowhere, this dog's life was taken in the same way that his life is taken at the end of the movie.
Never correlated that. That is a good. That is a good one.
The last thing I did want to say is to that point of him being a real person is that when the cops are kind of pulling them out, he doesn't back down, and
Mm-hmm.
he continues to stand up for himself. Whereas I think there might be people that are my shade of color that would say, well, he just needed to sit down and be quiet, and then they wouldn't have done all that they did. And then I want to say, well, he shouldn't have to do that. He
Absolutely.
shouldn't have to do that.
Absolutely.
Um, and I think that's That's the unfairness of the whole situation. And this movie, I think, highlights that. And it gives talking points, gives us opportunity to have these conversations between you and me, between me and my wife, between me and other white folks that might watch this. And I've seen it 3 times because I saw it once and I was like, I need other people to see this movie, and I need other people to see this movie. And so there's a sense where it's wanting to make sure that we keep these stories, like we said, in front of our minds. Any other scenes that stand out in the movie to you?
Man, just the interaction with the police in general, just their approach, their need to assert their self instantly instead of, like you said, they're meant to protect us. And you have somebody coming with such dominance, as another man, you're not going to want to back down. And me personally, being a professional boxing coach, I have trained police officers. I have worked with police officers hands on. They have PAL programs, police officers, where they actually build boxing gyms for police to train with the youth. So I know certain police officers, and they're the kindest people ever. They make you feel welcome around them, and that's the officer I will always respect. I believe no officer should go into there and instantly feel like I need to be a threatening person to somebody, because if you're feeling threatened by somebody, you're going to have guard up naturally. So my whole mindset with just police in general is just come with a sense of kindness. Tell me what you're stopping me for. Let me know what you need from me, and I'm gonna always give you the same respect. And I feel most of us will. But in that scene, when they came, it's like, hey, do exactly what we're telling you to do, or you're breaking the law. Just because you're giving me a command, if you're not physically detaining me, I'm not breaking any law by not listening to you. And I just want everybody to understand that, like, you can stand there and hold your ground without feeling like if I do anything wrong, I'm going to get in trouble. I could possibly not have my life. And that was the best thing about the movie to me in general. Like you said, he stood his ground. And a lot of people say he shouldn't have did that, but I 100% believe that that was the right thing to do, because at that point he wasn't a threat to anybody. They
Exactly.
presented a threat to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of stepping outside of the movie, and this is where I really just want to hear from you. I know this movie highlighted a situation in our culture that is still prevalent and still going on. We don't hear about it as much in the news now, but there for a while we were hearing about it every day. And I just want to just share. I'd just like to hear from you. Like, what do those stories do for you? How do you approach those types of news stories? And is there anything that I can do, that our audience can do, to help raise awareness in any way?
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna give it to you 100%. I'm a very blunt person, man. That's 10% of the problem. Black on black crime is at an all-time high. And us as a people, we have to go and say we want to protect ourselves more than the other people attacking us. We got to protect ourselves first. I'm from Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, born and raised. I have so many friends that have died from murder, being shot by another black man. But when somebody dies from a police officer, it's an outrage. That one person doesn't trump the 200 other people that got killed yesterday from some other guy that's of our skin color. So my main thing to anybody that's on this is, let's not be violent in general. And I'm a boxer, and that's crazy to
Right.
say, but boxing was my outlet to escape from violence. Everybody should go find their personal outlet and say, when I get angry, what can bring me peace again? What can be my happiness? Because at the end of the day, I believe that everybody has an escape and a mindset to go and relax themselves naturally without having to blow up and then be like, man, I made a mistake. Then it will be no murders around here. I'm tired of getting calls that somebody died because somebody killed somebody. And honestly, it's not your generation. It's not my generation. It's the generation beneath us. And it makes me fear for my son. I fear for your son. Because these young men, they know they're going to get a slap on the wrist the first time. So they're willing to gamble their lives or take somebody else's life. So the main thing I have to say to the audience, my younger audience, somebody has a reason to live, just like you have reasons to live. So don't throw your life away by throwing somebody else's life away. At the end of the day, respect is the most valuable thing on this world. And if you ever feel disrespected, that doesn't mean you have to go earn respect by taking somebody's life. You can just earn respect by walking away from the situation. I will respect you 10 times more if you say, hey, this guy got out of character with me, and instead I walked away and I went to the boxing gym. I went to go work through my emotions. And it took me a long time to deal with that. I was a very angry child because of my environment. And like I said, only thing you need to do is go find a way to cope with your problems. I know some of y'all, and I'm talking to the audience now. I know some of y'all have so much going on at home. I know some of y'all don't have anything or anyone to talk to. But at the end of the day, it's going to change. It's all just a current moment, and your future is so bright. So keep looking towards the future, and always goal is to succeed one day at a time. But for me, one school at a time.
Dude, I thank you so much for sharing that, man. That means a lot to hear that come from your heart, and I can tell you mean it. I can
Yes.
tell that it's part of who you are. It does bring to mind too for me, like when I think of someone like someone else that maybe gets criticized in the media, which is Eminem. He gets criticized because his lyrics are sometimes violent, and sometimes, I mean, a lot of times, especially early on in his career, very violent and anger filled, and that type of thing. But I remember being actually at a church gathering, and we were kind of discussing the same thing you just mentioned, like having a healthy outlet for those feelings,
Yes,
having
sir.
something that you can do, like you said, boxing. For me, it was music. Having an outlet that we can go and express our feelings. I mean, not to plug anything, but I just had my EP released. The first song on it is called "Hate Me," and I was dealing with a situation where there was someone in my life that started lying about me, started spreading rumors about me, and I didn't go spread rumors about him. I didn't go badmouth him to everybody. I sat down and I was inspired to, like, let me put this experience to song and figure out a way to express that pain I'm feeling, but in a healthy way that's not going to be destructive. And so even in the song, I offer grace in the second verse to try and say, hey, here's let's agree to, instead of building up walls, let's tear down the walls. Instead of burning bridges, let's make bridges, and trying to find that common ground to recognize that, like, we don't have to spew hate to each other, even if we feel slighted. He may feel slighted by me, but he didn't have to go out and spread that, around to everybody else and try to badmouth me in the process. It's,
Absolutely.
like you said, take those experiences. We might feel something, some kind of way, and we don't know exactly what that other person's going through and what they might have heard, but we can control ourselves, and we can choose to do something that's not violent, that's not disparaging to the other person, but choose to walk away or choose to find a path towards peace in the process. So just a couple of examples, like you mentioned, finding that outlet. And I would agree, find an outlet. It might be
Absolutely.
sports,
Find
it
your
might
outlet.
be boxing, it might be swimming, it might be track, like all those sports where you're just like exerting that energy, gets all those endorphins going, gets rid of that pain that you're feeling, and gives a rush of excitement in your system, so you can overcome that pain. And then also find the help that you need. If you're having
Absolutely.
a painful situation that's persisting, then go find help. Get
Always.
someone in your life that can help guide you through that, whether it's a counselor or it's a parent or whatever. We can overcome those feelings, and we don't have to choose violence or lashing out as our only answer.
Just be willing to talk. And one more thing to even branch back off of this. It's the craziest thing. Half the people that I fought are my best friend to this day. And it's crazy to say. It's crazy to say that I've inspired a lot of people. I give you a reference. I have this good friend, MJ. Shout out to MJ. He's currently working with me now on doing creative designs for my program. Me and MJ, the first time we met, we sparred. We never knew each other. We had to spar. And we really went to go take each other head off. Like, we hated each other. We got outside the ring, and we instantly thought, we said, I thank you for giving me everything you had, because I needed to let that out and you needed to let that out, and we built this bond. So a lot of these times where you may have a disagreement, or you may be feeling some type of way, and you could have an argument with somebody, y'all are feeling the same way, so y'all have something in common. It's
Mhm.
something that's going on with both of y'all. So just opening your mouth and talking like, hey man, what are you going through? What made you go and have these type of emotions today? Their enemy can be your best friend if you're just willing to talk to them for 5 seconds. You're gonna realize they have a lot more similarities to you than differences.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. And that kind of leads us into the second movie,
Yes.
Creed. Creed is the story of Adonis Creed, son of Apollo Creed from the Rocky series. A little backstory on how this movie got made. Sylvester Stallone won an Oscar. He wrote, directed, and did everything. Starred in the first Rocky. won an Oscar for it, made Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, came back, did Rocky 5. It kind of dipped a little bit in quality. A lot of people didn't like it. Then he came back and did Rocky Balboa. I would say that kind of redeemed the series as a way of showing an older Rocky kind of interacting with a younger boxer. And I feel like that one was a really good send-off for Rocky. So Sylvester Stallone was done. He's like, nope, we told the story of Rocky. Rocky's done. But Ryan Coogler had this idea of picking up the story with Adonis Creed and showing what this young man who grew up without a father because of that fateful match in Rocky IV, what he may have become, and what he could become if he was able to find his father's good friend and boxing partner, Rocky, and figure out if Rocky trained him, how could he be the greatest in the world? And that's the story of Creed. So he pitched it to Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone's told him no a couple times,
I never
and
knew
then
that.
and then he ended up reading the script and said, "You know what? Let's do it." And that's pretty much how it got made. Incredible movie. Love the story. He's basically a street boxer, or at least he's going down to Mexico to fight in the boxing rings down there, and he's coming back to the States. And then he gets called out by the heavyweight champion of the world, who's about to go away, right? Something's not happening and he's going to lose a title, but he wants to have a big payday before he does. And so he calls out Adonis Creed to come up from the no-name ranks, but he's the son of Apollo Creed, so he's well-known. His father's well-known. So he plans to fight him, thinking it's going to be just a walk in the park, but instead he hits Rocky on his side and just has to kind of retrain himself. Love the training montages, the new things that he's learning from Rocky along the way, and all that stuff. And then he ends up meeting a girl who makes music. What a wonderful, wonderful character that is. And then
I love her.
he ends up winning the fight, which is also something different than the first Rocky movie. He won the fight, right?
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, he won the fight.
He won the
That's
fight.
what I thought. So it kind of threw off the heavyweights champions' plans for the day, but it just was great. One other side note is that in the first movie, he really wanted to feel what it felt like to get punched, and so he actually literally got knocked out for one of the scenes, and that's the scene that made it in the movie because they're like, that's the most realistic you could ever get.
The guy knocked out.
Yeah, exactly.
I seen the film of it, and he's just sitting there trying to brace himself. And he's like, all right, he's finna throw it. And I didn't realize he actually got knocked out until I did my own research. I said, oh, he landed that shot for real. Nice hook. It was a nice hook.
Yeah, it was crazy. I saw just a clip this week where Sylvester Stallone was talking about that moment and how he said, "You're not really." He's like, Michael B. Jordan was like, "No, man, I'm a part of the family now. I'm part of the family now." And Sylvester Stallone, man, you haven't gotten punched yet. He's like, all right, I'll get punched. And so that's how he got knocked out. But hey, what's your take on the movie? What are some standout moments for you? What is your big takeaways?
One of my favorite scenes is because it was extremely relatable to me. It was that beginning scene where he's in a detention center and he's getting into that fight because he's so angry. He's felt so misunderstood. He really hasn't found himself yet, but he knew one thing, that he loved to fight and he needed an outlet. I feel like I had that same moment, man. As a young kid, I was just so angry. No reason to be angry at the world, but I was just angry, and I knew I loved to fight, but I didn't know how to explain it. Kept getting in trouble, kept having these moments where it's like, hey, I just want to fight. Find me a boxing gym. Find me an outlet for this. And that moment, I watched him, and he just is like, man, I don't know. Somebody needs to come save me. And I believe after that, Apollo Creed's ex-wife came to pick them up from the detention center, and that was one of the most beautiful things because it was like it was what meant to happen. It was that shining light coming down on him and saying, I'm going to make you better. Even though your dad's not here, I'm here to represent your dad because I'm going to fill in for him and I'm going to give you the love that you need. And that always makes me wonder, like, what if she never came? What would he have done? Would he still been fighting? Would he ended up in jail? Would he have tarnished his dad's reputation just by being this random guy that's constantly getting in trouble? So that's one of my favorite scenes. Just that moment he's in a detention center. He's just like, this is what I'm meant to do. I don't have no purpose but to sit here and just be in trouble because that's all I know is just how to get in trouble. and I feel like he learned how to get out of trouble from that moment.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was a beautiful moment, and I think a beautiful thing for her to do, because that's not her kid,
It's
but
not.
it's her husband's son, and to take him in as her own was a beautiful thing. And I think she saw in him the power and the passion and the strength of Apollo, and she wanted to help guide that in a positive way, give him what he needs to make it, and he does. But she said, "Don't fight."
Yep,
Don't
she did
fight.
not want him. She did not want him to fight.
But he
But
still ended up boxing.
I
Still ended up
understand
boxing.
that from her perspective. It's like Apollo died in the ring. He died, and he died from boxing. He died doing what he loved to do. So from her to now pick up his son, her main thing was to protect him and say, okay, boxing's not safe. I watched somebody I love die doing it. But if this is your passion, I'm gonna have to free you and let you be your own person. And that was a beautiful moment too, when she just kind of accepted the fact that he was gonna be exactly like his father, but she could kind of navigate and control this situation more than she could have controlled it with Apollo Creed.
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the standouts for me are just the relationship that he had instantly with Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he felt this connection to Rocky, being in his father's basement, seeing all the posters, seeing the belt, seeing the gloves, and going, you know what? This guy's family. This guy's someone that I can lean on. This guy's someone that can help me become better at this sport and maybe even become a better man. And so he
Mm-hmm.
seeks him out. And Rocky doesn't want to. I mean, he's fine with like being his friend. He's like, he's it's cool. Like, wow, cool. Like you're Apollo's kid. That's awesome. But he doesn't want to train him to fight. He wants to try to avoid that as much as possible. But then he sees the heart. He sees the dedication that he had, and he decides, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. That was just some beautiful moments. And like I said, I love the training montage. I mean, training montages and
Yeah, that was a
in
nice.
Rocky movies, I mean, they're the definitive. Like everybody copied the training montages, even Family Guy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but that stuff was cool. I love the rope. The rope across the ring kind of comes to mind, where he's teaching him to
Oh,
bob and weave.
slip and roll. And one thing
Yeah.
I can say about the Rocky and the Creed series, those training montages are legit. These are legit drills that boxers need to do to establish the basics of boxing. So I love that they're not just having them just go in there and do random things. It's real
Hmm.
life. He's training people the same way I would train somebody if they was going to go fight for me personally.
That's awesome, man. And this is a good plug. I mean, we're going to have you back on sometime this year. We got to figure out the right date, probably maybe this summer. We're going to have you back on with the boys to talk through all the Rocky movies. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely excited to do that, because I think, talking through some of the specifics of each movie and each training montage, and kind of you walking us through which ones, what they're working on and why they're important to do. I think that'd
I'm
be
gonna make
awesome.
them do it. All the boys, they got to do the
I
boxing
like
workout.
I like it. I like it. That's awesome. Anything else about Creed that stands out to you? I know.
Man,
Sorry, one quick thing I did want to mention is Tessa Thompson plays the love interest, and she's
I
a
was just about to say the
musician.
same thing.
And sorry, go ahead. I'll let you
No,
say it.
you read my mind. I was about to say that the love interest is seen, man. Even when they're going to go get the Philly cheesesteak, even just that raw connection and her love for music, making him understand. I believe the best thing about this movie itself is her love for music to help him become a better boxer. Because music and boxing, they go like this, hand in hand. You have to have rhythm. You have to have knowledge of how to keep a tempo, pick up a tempo, slow it down. So her coming into the scene is just like, I'm a music person, you're a boxer, we mesh together well. I love that. That was one of my favorite things about it. I believe they couldn't have nobody else play it better. She did an amazing job.
Absolutely. And I think it goes to Ryan Coogler's ability to direct these scenes and to pull that out of the actors, to have that such natural chemistry. And all those scenes, I agree with you. They're so real, and they're so, like, they feel so grounded. There's nothing that's kind of painted over. It doesn't feel glossy. It feels like you're just seeing a couple get to know each other and learn to love each other. And then kind of go on this journey together, where she doesn't want to see him fight. And she
Mhm.
ends up deciding, you know what, I'm going to go out there to support him, and all that stuff. And I think too, this also, I just remember this one too. Maybe that was in Creed 2, where somebody says something about his wife in the hallway,
Mhm.
Tess, and he punches him. Is that in Creed 2?
That's two. That's two.
Okay,
You
because it kind
right
of
on money.
shows he's famous now and everything, and so now he's like still struggling with all that pain. So yeah, definitely, we'll talk about that another time. But Very cool. Awesome, man. Well, let's get to the last one we're going to talk about today. I mean, Ryan Coogler, again, great director, amazing director, and I think the best director to direct this next film, which was Black Panther, the first black, well, it's not the first black superhero, but it was the first black superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Came on the scene in Captain America Civil War, really shocked the world at how awesome that character could be. Chadwick Boseman played an incredible role, did so amazing, showing the dynamic emotions in Civil War of going from hating Bucky, wanting to kill him, to then realizing that he was not the issue, and having grace and to Cap, and providing a space even for Cap to come and heal in the process of Cap and Bucky both to heal. I think that journey, even though he was on the screen very little, that journey of that character was so amazing. And then we get to see Black Panther. We get to see Wakanda in all its glory. We get to see that whole the relationship with him and Nakia and all that. So I'm gonna let you take it, man. Tell me about Black Panther. What did you love about Black Panther?
My overall, like, let's go back to Michael B. Jordan, since that was the main conversation we was having. Similar concept to the same thing on Creed. Kid left alone, his dad's nowhere around, and he's trying to navigate himself through this life, and the only thing he knows how to move out of is anger. He feels like he's owed something. My dad was supposed to leave me a throne. Same thing. That's why I love how it meshed together, because, hey, my dad's Apollo Creed. He left all these royalties to me, and I have nothing. Okay. Hey, my dad was a prince. Was he a prince of it? That's what he was a prince.
He was the brother. He was the brother of the king. His dad was the brother of the king. So he's cousins to
cousins to the Dome. So he's like, hey, and I have nothing. So what do I need to do to earn these rights? And man, the best part of this movie is the museum. That transition from scene to scene, and how he set everything up, that was a best introduction that you could have to a villain, because it made you realize, like, hey, this guy's serious. He's not playing around. He has purpose. Outside of that, man, even the simple moments where they show the different tribes within Wakanda. They show, okay, these are the strong folks, and they mean business over here. These are the women. They're strong and they're powerful. Having only women protect the king is not heard of. So to just know he has a woman army sitting there watching over him, it was an amazing thing to see from the start to finish. Outside of everything, even his death scene. His when he died, and how everybody naturally was hurt. It showed the people loved him. My main thing that I loved about Wakanda altogether, and it's nothing can beat this, man. The final fight scene. The final fight scene is like, hey, man, we're related. We're not supposed to be doing this, man. I'm sorry that my dad took your dad away from you. I'm sorry that all these things happened to you, but I don't want to go any further. But you're going to force me to a point where I can't even stop doing what I'm doing right now. So outside of that, man, I want to say that was the best representation for the black culture in a long time. I watched Twitter stories of people just it was a wave. It was a moment where everybody was throwing X's up because it meant something. It was that powerful. Where NBA stars was doing it, NFL stars was doing it. It meant something. It brought the community together to say, "Hey, we're stronger than we thought we were just because we seen this movie." R.P. to Chad Boseman, man, great guy.
Yeah, amazing. It's so sad that we had to lose him. It's crazy to think that he had cancer while filming all that, and the Avengers. Stuff. I mean, all that stuff, all the fighting, everything. It's just amazing. He had such willpower and such strength to push through that, and to give us something that was so beautiful, like you said, one of the best representations of black culture maybe ever. I mean, I think that at least from a box office standpoint, that movie made the most of any movie ever, and showing all the beautiful differences of, I feel like there were so many bits of Africa that were represented. Each tribe had their own style, their own vibe, and you got to get a glimpse of all of that. And man, it's just amazing. I just thought it was so beautiful seeing all those tribes come together and seeing the fighting and the stuff. But like you said, like, I think that opening museum scene showed, like, Killmonger, he's not just a muscle. He's not just a guy with muscles. He's got brains. He knows what he's doing, and he's studied his history, and he grew up in America, in LA in the 90s. So he's got a very unique perspective on what it means to be black in the world, because he grew up being black in America. Right. And that's a different story than T'Challa, who grew up privileged in this really nice, secluded, rich, like very fancy, very technologically advanced society. And so to see them really not being necessarily hero and villain, but just seeing them coming at the same idea of trying to protect our people, him using violence, and T'Challa wanting to use peace, wanting to provide to the world. It just was a beautiful kind of juxtaposition, kind of the yin and yang of those stories. I don't know if it's exactly like a Malcolm X and a Martin Luther King, but
I was
that's
just
been,
about to, man.
yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's literally side by side. You said it right on the tee. That's exactly what it is. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. One wants to go with the power and the violence. We're stronger, no matter what. We have this technology. We can take over the world if we want to. And the other one's like, we just want to be respected in the world. We just want to show people that we're here and we're not harming anybody. We ask that you can come over here and be a part of us, actually, and we could be a part of you. And it's the same concept, and that's why I loved it, because it actually poured on so many views you could look at it culture wise.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the comic book existed in the first place. Those writers were really tackling things that were social situations and social issues, and they were trying to put it in front of kids and show them the world can be different. I mean, you take the X-Men, for instance. The X-Men is 100% that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King idea. Magneto has the power, and Charles Xavier wants to use peace and wants to use their power to help humans, and Magneto wants to use it to force them. It's the same kind of dynamic there too. I was trying to show like how do we live peacefully together and do that. And I think Black Panther being kind of that representative in the comic books to say like, no, this is a powerful hero and he's going to save the day. Ryan Coogler did just an amazing job with the movie itself, the path that it takes, the sacrifice that happens, the loss, and then the recovery, the tribes coming together at the end and protecting T'Challa and trying to defeat Killmonger. It was all beautiful from start to finish.
Got the exact name of it, man. But the most beautiful scene was when he reconnected with his ancestors. With all that,
Yeah.
that was a powerful. Even just having that moment to talk to his dad again is just like,
Yeah.
hey, you are the king now, and that's moments that people really need to remember. I believe everybody should know at least a couple generations down that ancestry, because you need to know what your family's been through. You need to know what your family itself has survived through, and that's going to always strengthen you. Like, hey, my great granddad did it. My great great granddad did this. They survived this, and it didn't stop anybody, because no matter what, life is going to go on. So as life goes on, you just gotta dig down, dig deep into the roots. Man, I love that scene. Every time I watch it, I feel inspired. I'm like, man, I just need to go sit in a purple room.
Exactly. That's beautiful, man. Well, dude, they've got Sinners coming out. Ryan Coogler's newest film. Michael B. Jordan stars in it. It looks bonkers. It's something to do. It looks like it's in the 40s or the 20s, and they're smugglers or something, but then something's coming in the dark and we don't know what it is. I don't even want to know what it is before I see this movie. I've heard some things. I'm like, don't say nothing. I want to go in blind. I want to be surprised by everything. But it's one of these that Ryan Coogler's first somewhat horror film. So I'm super excited to see this, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Man, I'm excited to see it too. I've seen a couple trailers for it. Like you said, the suspense makes me want to watch it more, because I don't know what it is. You just know it's coming out of the dark, and you just want to see, like, I gotta watch to figure out what's going on. And I don't think we're gonna find out what it is until the next movie. I think it's gonna be a little play where he's like, okay, stay tuned. Maybe you'll find, if they do tell us this movie, tell me what you heard. What is
I don't want to say it. I don't even want to say it.
You have to tell me in private, because now I'm trying to figure it out.
Very cool. Hey, man, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. And let everybody know kind of what you got going on and where they can find you on social media and stuff.
What's up, everybody? It is Coach Nick with BTDT Boxing Program. I have some actual big announcements that I'm going to drop just right here. I haven't told nobody else yet, but this is a podcast I want to share it with. Now I have partnered with a company called Genetics Fitness, and we're going to be doing our very own BTDT boxing classes to the public. So now, if you only want to work with me and you can't get into it with me for the personal trainings, now I have classes that are available for you. We're going to start those classes on March 21st, 11 days away. 11 days, we're going to start these classes, and the first one is going to be free. So if you're able to make it, come out, take a class, bring your family, bring everybody, and let me show you how you can change your life simply by putting on a pair of gloves.
That's awesome, man. Thanks so much, dude. I'm going to drop that on Instagram as soon as possible so everybody can get to know that and get out there and support you.
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing. Awesome, man. Well, appreciate it. And can't wait to have you back on. We'll have you on soon. All right, brother?
Absolutely. I thank you for your time, John, and it's always a pleasure with you.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You as well.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, just a reminder, you can check out all of our links at bio.site/movies that make you. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. But until next time, keep watching movies.